safe for only two people. In that great big car.
That is very cool. Look at the shine on it. He'd be the coolest grandpa ever. Of course.
Look at the door.
Then he is
Sam.
now.
The door into the stairs.
So there's 12 cars here, and they're really pretty spectacular. And you're hauling in the people to see this. So we'll go on in and just do it gallery by gallery, and you can look around as you choose, but you will be able, hopefully, to hear me as I talk about these items. So we'll try and keep together. Thank you so much for your patience. The only mass-produced car in this show. All of the other cars are custom-built. So this was Citroën, who is both a man's name and a company. I understand there's so many cars in France, Citroën. And actually, did you know that the first car was actually invented in France, but it was Henry Ford that figured out mass production. So there's this kind of thing. And so Citroën actually went in the 1930s to the United States to observe the mass production in the United States. But this is a 1928 Citroën Coupe, and it's a custom paint job, which I'll talk about in a minute. But this was really made for the average driver. It could go up to 65 miles an hour. And when I say it's the only mass-produced car in the show, what that means is both the chassis, which is the mechanical parts of the car, and the top, the coach, were made by the same company. All the other cars were made separately, which we'll talk about as we go through it. And this would have been about $400 to $500 when it was originally purchased. Citroën was really good at marketing. He actually started the first in-house marketing company. And so you see the video of course, the Eiffel Tower. And what he did was buy the rights to advertise on the Eiffel Tower in 1925. And these lights were up for 10 years, 200,000 lights. So we're into, 1925. Pretty cool. I never had the tickets. But here, it was his idea from an early aviation view, looking down on the Eiffel Tower. So you can see how his exciting colors, shapes, very much similar to the textile designs that his wife, Sonia, was doing. And again, she's the one that designed this custom paint job for the car. And okay, you had to have bright clothes to wear because these early cars were super cold. We're so used to complete climate control. We're very spoiled. I'm glad I live now because I think these cars probably would have been very uncomfortable to ride in. But okay, this is by a Polish designer who it is something that you would wear, and there's a little drawing here. It's wool, it's like wool felt. So you could put it on over your clothes, throw a coat over it. These were for your legs. It was to keep you warm. And then when you got to wherever you're going, you could pull this off. You'd have your clothes under. But again, you can see these designs. It was influenced by European kind of folk costumes. Citroën commissioned our Mondrian from Slam's collection to the left of it, but you can see how these design elements all go together. This flat shapes, geometric shapes, simple shapes.
I'm going to guess that you could
kind of
fold
very
the windshield
dramatic.
down.
So very, when you think this is coming out of the Victorian
Again, that's a guess. Yeah, this is. I have a convertible fire truck that has windshield wipers on it.
Actually, I think that we relate to a lot more than the Victorian.
Yeah.
Okay, just come down here in this right. I like it. I like that. That a whole lot of buildings on the right bank of Paris, historic buildings, being torn down, erecting skyscrapers and designing it for speed for automobiles. This did not happen. Thankfully, yes. It was very controversial. So anyway, yeah, you can see it's destroyed Paris. So it did not happen. But it just shows you the influence of the automobile. I mean, it was a sea change. So this is also the photograph over here. It's from the 1925 fair. And it was like a concept house. This idea of creating an idea for housing for mass consumption where they could be mass produced. And you could see a lot of dressed up plastic surgeries that could be put together. We're there now, too. We are, yes. He was around 70-year-old, and he was such a madman driver, that none of his friends could get in the car with him. Anyway, he didn't die in a car accident. Okay, so this is the world's first commercial aircraft factory in a suburb of Paris in 1906, really early on. Okay, so going up through World War I, they produced 10,000 airplanes. So huge. Okay, so 1919, after the war, the Moissan brothers go into cars. So a lot of their inspiration, a carryover from aviation to automobiles. So this was something that was important. Factor in World War I through all of this, so that all of this was part of the history. So here you can see they really, there's no bumpers or fenders. They've really made it aerodynamic. And you can see their hood ornament. Their mascot is a very Art Deco bird with a very exaggerated wing. Again, emphasis on speed. So as we move into here, this is actually from the Missouri Historical Society, and this is interesting because it was owned by Helena Rubinstein, the iconic cosmetics person, and she gave it to the Missouri Historical Society. But it's designed by a very famous 1920s Parisian fashion designer by the name of Paul Poiret, and he is credited with coming up with this kind of silhouette design that was influenced by Japanese kimonos, by African abayas. Okay, let's think back to what the clothes were like in the 19th century, moving into the early 20th century. Women wore corsets. They had, huge petticoats, big sleeves, and these gigantic hats. Everybody had hats, and you can't go in cars with that kind of clothing. It would fit, yeah. Yeah, and it'd blow off and all that. So again, notice the cloche hat, and loose-fitting, comfortable. So just the sea change in fashion. I just think it's so interesting because I never tied it with cards before. But Poiret was the king of fashion in the 1920s, and he did a lot of textile designs. You can see colors influenced by plants and designs. And in the 1925 fair, he designed, one other thing that he did was luxury river barges. So if you've been to Paris, there's lots of barges on the Seine. So he had 3 that he designed for the fair, but what it was doing is incorporating his beautiful textiles and designs. Yeah. All righty, we're going to move over here to this next car. Okay, we'll come over here to the wood and aluminum car. This is a 1925 Hispano-Suiza skiff torpedo. And it's interesting, the front part is aluminum and is original. Now the wood has been replaced, it was replaced by a boat over there. Yeah, beautiful wooden boats. So it's like naval boat architecture. And the engine's a very powerful engine, and it's similar to the kind of engine that powered World War I airplanes. So again, this tie-in with aviation. And this, its mascot is a flying stork, you can see up there. And the tie-in with this is that there was this ace squadron, combat squadron in World War I called the Stork Squadron. Yeah, and they were very effective, and kind of their leader was credited with shooting 54 enemy planes down before he was killed himself in action. And so this is kind of honoring that squadron that was so helpful to winning the war in World War I. So interesting how it's got this kind of back seat. I'm not totally sure how you get into it. Our curator, Jenny Cordonovas, told us in the training that she actually did get back there and she thought it was super claustrophobic. But she told this very touching story that this is owned by a very elderly man who was unable to come to the opening. And he sent her a dozen roses the day of the opening. And she was just, she was so touched. So I thought that was a nice story.
I wonder where the stores
Well, I know all of these, it tells who owns them. For all of, this is from the North Collection in St. Michael's, Maryland. So, yeah, they're from all over. But all in the United States. Right. Okay. Now, the showstoppers.
Touring. Why not? Walk right over this way. We'll see the intake.
Okay, this is a Bugatti Type 41 Royale convertible. This is an interesting story. Bugatti, who was the designer, he was at a really fancy dinner party in 1927, and he was talking to this very posh lady, and she said, "Well, I really think your cars are beautiful, but for real elegance, you really have to go with Rolls-Royce or Spanish Suiza." Okay, so Bugatti had been thinking about wanting to do luxury touring cars, and that was like throwing down the gauntlet. So this is what he came up with. And there are only 6 of these that were ever made. So it's quite a luxury car. So let's see, it's 21 feet long, 7,500 pounds. It's the biggest car in the exhibit. They were almost not able to get it into the museum. There was like 2 inches clearance on the doors to get it through. Yikes. Okay, Snow, an interesting story about this particular car. The first owner was a German physician who fled Nazi Germany in the 30s. He fled to Long Island and took this car with him. But the engine block froze in the winter of 1937 and cracked. So this car ended up in a junkyard. And it was purchased in 1943 by the GM engineering vice president and restored at great expense. Oh, good. Yeah, and our curator said it might be worth upwards of $40 million. Yeah, so this is really something.
So do they still own it?
No, okay. That question is answer that. This is in the report.
How big that tire is? Big tire.
All right, so Bugatti was really comfortable that these kinds of cars, certainly by the 50s, they just weren't getting made. Too expensive.
And the miles per gallon probably like 2.
Well, right. An interesting question that came up, because this guy that put the cars together, he came to get some training courses. Somebody asked him about the tires, which are rubber materials. Your metal might hold together, but some years ago, some company started making custom-made tires for these very highly specialized cars. Oh. Now, I imagine they are also staggeringly expensive. So, but we were told that the dashboard is made out of whalebone.
Oh, gosh.
And another little fun fact, you will notice in France, they drive on the right, but you will notice that the only car that had the steering wheel on the left was the mass-produced one, the Citroën. All of these luxury cars, the steering wheel is on the right because they were competing with British luxury cars. So anyway, the 6 of these that do exist, they all look different. but they are still in existence, and they had a reunion in 1985 at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, the big fancy car show, and they're going to meet again in Monterey in 2026.
Do they drive them there?
I doubt it.
Wow. That would be fun just to...
It'd be, these cars are too valuable to drive on the road. I'm sure they're put on a big
Probably too big.
truck. Because, hey, the people that were buying these rich cars were also buying the same clothes. So they're really marketing for the same market of really wealthy people. And Jean Lanvin was the designer who was in charge of getting all of the couturier dresses together. So you can see now these are evening dresses, which is different from the cars that clothes that we talk about being designed really to keep warm in the car. So I also was interested in this center rug. And I don't know, to me, I walked up and I thought, this looks like Klimt, if you're familiar with
Yes.
the same era. Yeah, very abstract and inspired by literature. Just beautiful, jewel kind of colors, lovely. The designer is Edward Benedictus, and he also did the textiles with the brown, the red and the silver and the gold. He did textile.
She wants somebody to buy an idea.
Yeah.
I love this rug.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, this is when it started. What this gallery is emphasizing, yeah, this place you can sit if you want, is what happened in the 1930s. So the 1930s, the Depression, a lot of political, economic turmoil. So we're talking about, the mass production of all these cars, where there was a lot of unrest among auto workers, and of course, the French are really good at protests. So they demanded in the 1930s higher wages, the right to collective bargaining, 40-hour work week, 2-day vacation, and guess what? They got it. So this idea of, the idea of the mass market for the car. So now this particular model here, this is a concept model. It was never made into a car, but it was designed by Le Corbusier with the idea of creating a car that could be mass produced for the average driver. France had the most roads, the biggest highway system at the time. So there were people, people were buying cars like the Citroën to go out. So does this remind you of any car?
Volkswagen.
Exactly. So this predated that, but not by a lot. And Le Corbusier later said that this design influenced both Volkswagen and Citroën. And the seats kind of go back, so it can be like a bed. So, you could take it like on the road, boat camping, that kind of thing. Really more for the mass market, but it was really never produced. This dress on the mannequin, that orange and tan, those are beach pajamas.
Really?
Which I would not have known, but yeah, so there was a market. Now that people had vacations and they wanted to go to the beach, and I think probably at that time probably a lot of people didn't even really know how to swim, so you could go to the beach and walk around and talk to your friends and have to look cool. So there was a market for these breezy kind of comfortable clothes, and again you can see furniture being made out of industrial materials. And on the photographs over here are photographs taken out of a moving car. This was kind of a new thing. Take a photograph out of a moving car. Well, out on taking your vacation. Which they ride their cars and have a great time. Again, this is a whole different thing than this luxury car that we always buy. That's what he said. The military used a lot of women to drive ambulances and trucks. So there were women who actually, had experience driving. And so again, this was all tied up with being a modern person. But, okay, here we have to have tribute to Josephine Baker. I'm sure you're all familiar with Josephine Baker. She was born in, 1906. whole big connection to St. Louis. Okay. Yeah, she was born in 1906, and her name was Greta Josephine McDonald. And her dancing took her from Mill Creek Valley here to vaudeville in New York and Paris. And she was very successful as an entertainer, particularly in France, which was more accepting of diversity than the United States at the time. And she was, she cemented her legacy as the first black woman to star in a major motion picture called Siren of the Tropics in 1927. And she was kind of the icon of the new woman. Now, she, of course, you can see the poster there. She was noted for spangles and feathers and all kinds of fun stuff. And so here you can see the kind of evening gowns that were worn at the time. The video, I mean, there she is right there. But as we move over to this car, she was big on cars. And of course, she had money to be able to support this expensive hobby. So this is a 1937-38 Delage Cabriolet. Isn't it stunning? Look at the exhaust pipes. Oh, no. So let's see. Anyway, she was a friend of Delage, and she owned at least 2 Delage cars. So, and she could drive. So this is a video of one of these Concours d'Elegance, and it just kind of gives you an idea of what these people are doing, driving around there, showing off their fancy cars. You know, it's very social, and there was a little bit of a glimpse of Josephine Baker. Yeah, Concours d'Elegance, the competition of elegance. They still call them that. So very long hood with inset headlights and a slanted windscreen bordered by spotlights, so you can see the spotlights on either sides of the window. So pretty nice, huh? I like the color too. If you watch the video. Okay, well, she's brave to wear that hat. And a dog. There she is. This is a 1927 Bugatti type Nice Grand Prix. And this particular model won 35 Grand Prix World Championships in 1926. And the model won over 1,000 races in its era. Now, the story is, you see the video up there, this is a female driver whose name was Nice. And she actually raced. So I want to tell you, I want to read you the story about her, because personally I think this should be made into a miniseries. But this is the car she owned, the actual car. This car sold to Nice, an exotic dancer and nude model in Paris in 1929. She was beautiful and vivacious and had many lovers, adding to her fame and notoriety. After a skiing accident ended her dancing career, she took up auto racing. You know, who wouldn't go from dancing to auto racing? And this was very unusual for a woman, and she became a French sensation. You see the video. She was even successful against famous male drivers. In 1936 in Brazil, her Alfa Romeo crashed into the stands, killing 6 people. She was thrown from the car and spent 3 days in a coma. Back in France, she was convicted and fined in a scandal with other drivers for illegal importation of cars. After the war, she was wrongfully accused of collaborating with the Nazis and eventually exonerated, but the negative publicity ruined her career, and she died in 1984 in obscurity. A 2005 biography called Bugatti Queen helped restore her reputation. So if you want to know more about Nice, it's a book called Bugatti Queen. But don't you think that would be a great mini-series? So there she is. What a life. Yeah, that is she. This is by Hermes. Hermes, which is still in existence and doing quite well. Hermes started out making very high-end equestrian equipment for royalty, European royalty. Well, car comes along, well, new market. So this is a beautiful leather coat in actually astonishing condition. Apparently it's lined in silk, but it is by Hermes, and it's all handmade. It's just really gorgeous. I mean, you could wear this today and feel like you were being really stylish. And then the hood is like it's like an aviation inspiration, the whole design. So, isn't that beautiful? Really beautiful. This again is showing this design. The shorter skirts, the emphasis on diagonals, comfort, new materials where you could move. So again, it's just this fashion trend. The sweater in the vitrine is another Elsa Schiaparelli. Looks like it's made for an extremely tiny person, but it's just beautiful. And again, these would be handmade. It's a really luxury ideas, cashmere. So again, keep them warm in the car. Oh, and there was a great quote from her. And this is also by Hermes. This is a toilette box. So it's designed so you could put all your cosmetics in it. I don't know if there's room for like a little vial of whiskey or something, but you see it would be you could put it on the floor on the seat and it would be unlikely to tip over. So it was really designed to take in a car with you.
To repair all your makeup when you
Exactly. This gallery is really well, it's called Bodies Transformed, but this kind of emphasis on nature, on organic forms. Look at these curves, inspired by organic forms. Some say inspired by the shape of women's bodies. So these cars actually, I think, become kind of rather sexy. They're really something. So this, yeah, that one does look like it was. But anyway, this is a 1938 Talbot Lago Teardrop Coupe. And they were called Teardrop Talbots because of the idea of a tear. It's like a teardrop in the wind. Anyway, it's just these, I think it looks like waves too, but very dramatic, organic curves. No two were alike. These are very high-end luxury cars. And craftspeople spent 2,100 hours of painstaking handwork to complete each custom body. It's got hidden headlights. It's a sporting car that could be equipped for racing. And it was repainted gray with red fenders. And I don't know what the original color was. I don't have that information. This is from the J.W. Marriott collection. You like this one? Yeah, isn't that something? Fenders covered. The handles. Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm going to move over. Are lovingly cared for. Lightweight competition two-wheel seats and a disappearing convertible top. Oh. So, yeah, must be, yeah. So, this has been restored. The most recent owner, Miles Collier, from Naples, Florida, he acquired the car in 2001 and rebuilt the engine and restored it and repainted it. And it retains the original Hermes leather. This one you can actually see into the inside better. Yeah. So that's the original leather. Obviously, it's been repainted. And a curator says it resembles a Paris gown on wheels. So all these emphasis on female bodies. So when it was purchased in 2001, it had been driven under 5,000 miles. Wow. Yeah. So, and it actually, apparently, it's not particularly maneuverable, the design, but it is really gorgeous.
It's gorgeous because the tires are covered.
That's really low slung, isn't it? Yeah. Or, marketing there. think the black one is really cool.
Yeah.
With the spider and then this green coming out. So again, this emphasis on organic designs. Here, spider webs, and this is, it's very abstracted, but these are like feather designs.
Oh, that looks like Chanel.
And it's, yeah, and it's got that kind of some kind of applique, whatever, on top of it.
That looks heavy.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it looks like the mannequin is not quite big enough to fill the dress out. I actually love the black one. But there's a fun quote from John Lanvin on this. Okay, here's the quote. What was happening in the 30s was bringing back femininity with smaller, higher waistlines and longer, fuller skirts. So here's the quote from John Lanvin. It's curves against straightness, the time women masqueraded as boys being, thank God, at an inn. Isn't that good? Yeah, so this is, and then there's just some more unique attire out there. We've got a couple of sculptures by Jean Arc, again, these kind of biomorphic. The reflection of the coffered ceiling onto this car, which is just, I mean, that was one of those serendipitous things, but it really looks great.
It does.
Isn't that cool? Okay, this particular car was a wedding present. What a wedding present. To, get this, and you probably don't remember this, it belonged to Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the last Shah of Iran. Okay, and this was, I guess he was like the crown prince or something when he got married. He got married in Cairo to the daughter of King Fahd. So I'm assuming this was probably an arranged marriage. Yeah, well, that would have been like in the 30s, but you probably remember the overthrow and all that, because I remember that too. Yeah, because that was more recent, but which was still a long time ago. But okay, so I assume this was some kind of an arranged marriage, because it was like a crown prince and a princess getting married in Cairo, a wedding present. It was a very unhappy marriage, so that did not last. And then he had 2 more marriages, and in 1979 was when he was overthrown, and that established the Islamic Republic of Iran, which we are still dealing with. So, but this was his car. And then he, the Shah, he died in Johannesburg 2 years after the overthrow of his government, which was, I guess, in 1981. This one's owned by the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. And it is very Art Deco. It is one of a kind. And it said the windshield can be lowered for a sportier appearance. Yeah, I don't know how much sportier can you get. How many buttons do you want on your teeth? I don't, it says it can be lowered, I guess just down. And I told a couple of weeks ago, I noticed, here's the license. It's in Arabic. So, yeah, so the person who was on the tour, you do all these things with your smartphone. She took a picture and translated. She said it's numbers. Because she said, what does it say? And I said, I don't know. So it's numbers. I figured everybody used numbers like same kind of numbers like we do. But, it's a lot of sevens. Yes. Anyway, so if you're wondering, that's numbers. So this is it, and thank you very much for your patience and that's great. Oh, it's so much fun to give this tour.
Girl, I have done that. I did the other thing. I said back and forth. Okay, I did the thing. Do you guys know where we left our shoes here?
Oh yeah, right in the office. Is that one?
Yes.
Yeah. They were wearing the pictures.
Yeah, I like it that way instead of the use that one out. But
She says it's bamboo.
no, it's not. No.
You can see the bamboo there.
Oh yeah, it is bamboo. Look at the yeah. You can see it. Yeah.
It sounds
Clever.
like the bamboo that way.
Yeah. How clever.